bees so much more, what are the specifics and what ways are bees so much more intelligent than the average person has any idea of? And what do bees do?
Well, they do things like they just recently conclusively, not through observation, but scientifically conclusively shown how they determine where they're going to move a swarm to. That's how bees reproduce. They'll build up in a hive until they get close to running out of room. And when they do that, the workers just start raising queens.
Okay.
And they'll set up about 2 or 3 queen cells to make sure that the strongest one survives and they have a new queen. And then as soon as that queen cell is capped, they feed that baby queen royal jelly until she's ready to pupate. They go through the stages like a butterfly does of larva, pupa, and then adult. And right by the time she's ready to pupate, she spins a cocoon around herself and they cap it off, right? As soon as that happens, the queen, and usually roughly about half the hive, split.
And take this queen who's wrapped up.
No, the old queen.
Oh, they take the old queen.
The old queen and about half the hive take off looking for a new place, okay? But they don't know where the new place is. They just know they're out of the hive, they're gone. And they'll suck up a bunch of honey so that they have about 3 or 4 days worth of food. And they'll go up sometimes within 100 yards of the hive, up in a tree or underneath the eave of a house or hanging on a power line, and you see this big swarm there. And that swarm designates how, nobody knows for sure because the bees don't talk, right? But that swarm designates like 50 or so of the oldest foragers to go out in all directions and look for a new home. Now those foragers will go, and this part has been scientifically studied, they will go to any potential new home. They'll poke their heads in holes and look for cavities. They'll measure the size of the cavity, and they'll measure the depth of the cavity to see if it's got enough cubic liters of volume to not only hold the hive, but also to grow some before the hive has to split again. They'll check out the orientation of the sun. They'll check out food that's in the area. And then they come back and they report. And they report by doing a little dance, the same kind of dance that they do. A waggle dance with circles and figure eights. That's the same kind of dance they use to show where food is when they're foraging for food. And now, understand that they're coming from all points of the compass. The other scouts will observe each other's dances, and they will decide whether their place was as valuable as the other person's place. And then they'll go to the other bee's place, and they'll keep going to other bees' places and come back and give dances. They're like little committee meetings until finally every single one of the scouts has come back and they're all voting on the same place. And when they have 100% consensus on where their new hive is, within minutes the whole swarm leaves and goes to that hive. Within less than 2 minutes, boom, they're gone.
Wow.
Now this has been scientifically set up and observed. The guy who did this is a guy named Seeley, and he got an island off the coast of Massachusetts or Newfoundland or something like that had no kind of flowers growing on it at all. And he set up bait stations with bait hives all over the place, and he brought swarms ready to swarm to the island and turned them loose. And they had interns sitting there with notebooks and cameras at every one of those hives and observe, and they had to take every bee in the swarm. We're talking about 30,000 bees these interns had to do, and put a little marker with a number on them and gave every one of them a number. I am not making this shit up. And they turn them all loose, and they sit there and they go, oh, well, scout number so-and-so showed up at such and such time. And so they're able to correlate all that data, and then they had film of the original swarm where the queen was, where they watched the dances, and they know how to decode what the dance is, and it tells you what direction it's going in and everything. And they scientifically proved it. This is how they make decisions. They have a commit, and He even wrote a book called Honeybee Democracy because he thinks this would work for like corporations and it would work for democracy and stuff. That we just send out knowledgeable scouts, not knowledgeable scouts, but knowledgeable representatives. And whatever their consensus opinion is, we just accept that, and it would be a fair and decent democracy.
Wow.
Well, that's very sweet, you know, but it ain't gonna work like that, you know. Somebody's gonna buy one of them scouts, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But money doesn't matter to a honeybee, right?
Right.
Yeah.